Hello and welcome to this second tutorial video on how to make the Saxon memory dragon. Now we're going to do the ears, so let's get rid of those. We just need one main and one contrast colour, and we're going to pin them right sides together. You might want to make a little mark on here to show where your opening is, just so you don't get confused. I'm going to pin on these points because it's quite important we keep the shape of those points by going right the way to the very tips as much as you can, so you don't round them off. Pin it all the way around, and then I'm going to sit it the right way up as per your pattern, and we're going to sew across the bottom, up the side, and then across the top, and we're going to leave this section open as marked on your pattern piece. Now it's the belly of the beast. This is the right side of the fabric, and using my ruler I'm going to mark from the neck to the tip of the tail. I'm going to leave a ½ centimetre seam allowance, and I'm going to use a pencil to mark 2 centimetres all the way down. So 2 centimetres, 2 centimetres. If you're using inches, this is just under an inch, so you could do inch marks all the way down and that'd be absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be exact. So all the way down, as many as you can to the tip, and then turn it around and just mark your line across the middle like that, all the way across, all the way down, so that you've got lines all the way down that look like this. Now I'm using yarn, which is making it more difficult because it's thicker, but it was a great match for the colour. I'm starting in the middle just so it's easier for you to see, and I'm on the wrong side. Gonna have to really tug this through because this yarn is thicker than the cotton pearl or embroidery thread that I'd recommend you use, and I'm just doing running stitch. You'll find the tutorial for that on our website. Oh, give it a tug through. Got his tail knotted in there, so speed me up a bit. I wish we could do this in real life, maybe when I'm doing the washing up or housework or something, just speed it up and make it go faster. So running stitch all the way across. Try and keep it nice and straight on that line that you've drawn, and nice and even sizes right the way to the end. Far too much thread on my needle. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to go back the other way and fill in the gaps. So I'm going in at the end of a stitch there, and I'm going to come out there. Keep pulling it so it doesn't gather. That's the only thing with running stitches, it'll want to gather, and you don't want that. So in and out on each stitch to fill in the gaps, and pull it straight. Here we go again. Top speed sewing, and that'll give us a nice solid line of stitches all the way across his belly. When you get to the end, I'm going to just knot it off, and you've got that nice straightish line. I've got my wings, and I've turned them right sides out through this little opening. It's not easy, so that you end up with this. Make sure you get them turned out as much as you can. Poke a pencil or something in to get all these little points out at the end. I'm going to do 3 rows of that same double running stitch that we did on the belly. Same with the ears, turned right side out, poke out the points as much as you can, and then rows of stitching on here too. I'm going to insert the foot pad into the leg, so this is wrong sides out. I've got the gap at the back there for filling, and it's this larger gap that I'm going to insert the paw pad. So right sides together, and the point of the foot pad goes up towards the leg section, and the curve of the foot pad goes down towards the bottom of the foot there, so that the point is going to be uppermost. So it's right sides together, pin it in place all the way around like this, all the way around. Add a few extra pins, particularly when you're doing something like a paw pad. It really helps to have extra pins in there to stop it slipping, so that you can get a nice even positioning on your foot pad. Once you've done that, we're going to sew all the way around the outside, and here are all 4 of them turned right sides out, except for that one, which I'm going to turn out through. This back bit is easier. Don't try and turn these out through the leg because it is just so tight. My seam allowance on this is a little bigger than the normal, so it's a little bit skinnier, this one. And I'm using a pencil, the rounded end of a pencil, the flat end of a pencil, not the pointy bit, as that might go through your fabric, to push that leg out. As I said, it's a very skinny leg and quite a thick fabric actually, so not the easiest in the world. There we go. That's through. Now I've got the sides of the body with the slits there to insert those legs into. 2 for the top and 2 for the bottom. I've got one side piece and I've got a leg here. Now this curve is the belly of your dragon, and we want the paw pad facing towards that. I mean, you don't have to, you could put them in sideways or facing backwards, whatever you like. I've placed it in that slot and I've folded that top bit down so that the leg, as you can see, is inside that slot, and I'm making sure there's enough gap on the outside. It's tucked in far enough that I've got a seam allowance on the outer edge, and then I'm pinning it into position. So I'm going to sew right across there. Once I've done that, I'm going to sew the bottom leg in, and it's very much the same. Paw pads facing towards the curve, place it on the slot and fold it in half into there. Make sure you've got your seam allowance on the outside, so tuck it right in. You've got that gap there for the seam allowance. And then pin it into position and sew right across there like a dart. Once that's done, you're going to have this with the legs sewn into position. And the seam allowance on the outsides. And that's where you're going to sew the belly into. Now there is a mark that shows you where the positioning is here. Make sure you've got the right side, and it's right sides together. Pin the neck first. There you go. And follow it around the body. You'll find the notch on the belly that lines up with the end of this curve. But I'm just going to follow it around at the moment to see if it fits. If not, pin the neck, pin where the notch meets the end of that curve. Make sure you tuck the leg in there so it doesn't get caught in the seam. Right round, and that should line up nicely with that notch at the bottom. Perfect. And then we're going to sew from the neck right the way around the curve to that point. And then do the same on the other side. That concludes our tutorial video. I hope it's been helpful. If it has, please subscribe. We'd love your feedback and a like. There are more videos coming soon.